What's up, everybody? And thank you for watching ReelTime for the real everyday movie fan. I'm Ryan Murphy.
And I'm Josh Williams.
And today we're giving you a real-time review of The Conjuring 2. We're doing this interview style since Josh has seen the movie. I have not had the chance. So, Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Conjuring 2?
Well, Conjuring 2 is directed by James Wan again. He is returning at the helm, and it stars, I can't even pronounce her name. Pronounce that for me.
Vera Farmiga.
There you go. Thank you. He's good at that, not me. Patrick Wilson, Francis O'Conner, and Madison Wolfe. If you want to know the script, the synopsis of this movie will be in the description below, and I'll go right off the bat and start. I loved this movie. When I finished that, after the movie was over, I literally blurted out, "Now that's a horror movie." This year has been so far shit, except for The Witch, which I personally love, and Hush. If it's on Netflix, you guys haven't seen it yet, go. It's on Netflix. I think it's a good horror movie. But this one, I was like, that is a horror movie. James Wan, I am pronouncing him the new king of horror. He is amazing. So that was my initial reactions to that movie.
Okay, well, what makes it so good? What's an effective horror movie? Tell us.
For me, it was James Wan's directing style. I mean, his use of camera angles, his way he uses the camera to pan around with the characters as they're going around, it adds suspense to the movie. To whereas most horror movies, they'll keep it kind of a straight angle. They might do a couple cool angles, but the camera's always moving in this movie, and I love that because it adds suspense because you're not sure what's going to happen. And then he also uses the way of, as the camera's panning around and doing these different angles, you'll see something in the background, and you're like, "Oh crap, what the hell is that?" But then it goes away. And some people might say, "Oh, that's horror cliche 101," but it's just how he uses his camera, which is fascinating to me. His directing style is amazing, and you even see it in The Conjuring, or you'll see it in Insidious, or even Saw. When he did Saw, I feel like a lot of people are kind of dinging it a little bit because there are some horror. He uses some horror cliches of like jump scares or the things in the back, or things happen where it's obviously going to happen, and sometimes it does. But how he shoots it again, it makes it feel new. That's what I loved about it. You'll see the horror cliche of, "Oh, I've seen that before" in movies, but it's how he shot it which made it feel new to me, and that's why I loved it.
Right.
Another thing for me was the Warrens. I love the fact that I remember when I first saw the first Conjuring, I said if they're going to do another one, they need to focus. They can do other stories, but they need to have it to where the Warrens are the focal point. I felt like that would be a good way to have a good horror trilogy, and they did that, and I love the fact they did that. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They did a great job as the Warrens. I love them. I even feel like sometimes they brought a little bit more into this movie than the first one, which they still even did a great job in that one. And I feel like they just really are a great pair. Their chemistry is really great together on screen. I love them as a couple. And if they do a Conjuring 2, which I hope they do, and I hope James Wan comes back, that they will be in this movie.
Right.
So,
okay. So, any negatives to this?
Negatives, like I said, it's kind of hard for me because there are some horror cliches where I was like, "Oh, I see that happening," but it was his craft that really kept me so intrigued. So I guess I'll give that a little bit of a negative because there were a couple points where you're like, "Okay, that's going to happen," and it does happen. But then again, there are some points where something happens that you weren't expecting, which is kind of cool. But yeah, there are a couple of horror 101 cliches in there, which there were more of in this one than the first Conjuring. So maybe that's why some people didn't like it. And again, it's a small negative for me, but it's not even a big one. But the actual biggest negative for me, sadly, which is not going to be a huge thing in the movie, but after I watched it, I was kind of taken aback by it. I didn't like the resolution of in the climax of the movie, the resolution of what happens, and it happens too fast. Like they're building up this entity as being this big bad thing, and then at the end, what happens, how they handle it. I'm not going to say what happens at the end, but how the resolution is handled, it's a little too fast for me. Especially when you count, like I said, when you count the fact that how big and bad they were making this thing to be. And that was a little bit of a problem for me after I watched it. I was like, oh, maybe they could have done something a little bit different possibly, but what can you do? I mean, they did the best they could, and I think James Wan still brought it in this movie a shit ton.
Okay. All right, so overall rating out of 10.
Overall, this movie I think it's actually needs to be a little higher on the critic rating than it is. I mean, it's still at 75%, which is decent. It's still good for a horror movie, but I feel like it should be higher. I think it's just his craft is in this movie it blew my mind for some reason, more than most possibly. I loved his use of camera angles and working. I forgot to mention this too. The horror character in this movie is frightening. I think it's probably his most frightening horror character he's ever created. And that's saying a lot because he's made a lot of good ones in his past movies. But she is the entity is creepy as all can be. I'm going to give it an 8.9 out of 10. I almost gave it a 9, but that ending did kind of flabbergast me a little bit. But it's still, I highly recommend you see this movie. Even if you're not a horror fan, if you're just like maybe a technical fan of like wanting to see good direction or just want to see a good movie in general, I highly recommend you see this. Everyone go see out and see this movie in the theaters. The atmosphere really adds to the movie, especially in the theater itself. I really love this movie.
All right. Well, fantastic. That'll do us for today, folks. What did you think of The Conjuring 2? Leave your comments in the section below, and please subscribe to our channel so you can see more of our content in the future. Until next time, thank you for keeping it real.
With ReelTime.